Hello, math students. Welcome back to Module 11 called Geometry. This is Lesson 4, and it is called Solving for Unknown Angles Using Equations. Our goal for today we are going to solve for missing angles using complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. The question that I want you to be thinking about during today's lesson is, how can you remember the different angle relationships and what they mean? All right, so things to know. We've been working with this unit circle for a little while now, and what I would like to talk about is building on our last lesson of the unit circle, and we remember that this starting section of the unit circle right here is 0 degrees, and then as you are traveling to the left, this would be 90 degrees, and then this would be 180 degrees, and this would be 270 degrees, and then finally, if you come all the way around, you know that this would be 360 degrees, because 90 times 4 is 360. Okay, so talking about that, we need to show on the unit circle what some of these angles represent. And so one of the things that I would like you to notice first of all is that if you take an angle, let's say hold on, where did it go? I have a green. I would like to use green. Okay, if I took an angle right here and I said, let's say it cuts it like that, and then it cuts it like this. And so what we have here is, let's say that this angle measure is 27 degrees, and let's say that this angle measure right here is 11 degrees, and then we are going to say that this angle measure right here is 52 degrees. Well, what we could say about all three of those angles is that all three of them are complementary angles, and the reason that they're complementary angles is because when you add them all together, they equal 90 degrees. So we would say they add up to 90 degrees. And if we double check it, we could say, okay, 7 plus 1 is 8, 2 plus 1 is 3, 8 plus 2 is 10, regroup the 1, and then we have 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 1 more is 9, and that gives us 90 degrees. So if you went ahead and drew those all out, and to show our work, so we have 52 plus 11 plus 27, and we're adding all of them, 7, 8, 9, 10, so there's a 10, that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they all add up to 90 degrees, okay? So all of the green angles on our unit circle are what we call complementary angles because they all add up to 90 degrees, okay? All right, so then the next thing that we want to talk about is, what if we went ahead and borrowed this 52 degrees right here, and we connected it to this angle over here, okay? So we're borrowing this angle from right here, and we're connecting it to this angle over here. So we know that this section of it is 52 degrees, and then we have to figure out what this section of it is. Well, these two angles right here, this little piece and this big piece, they are known as adjacent, okay? Adjacent. And the reason why they're known as adjacent angles is because they share a common side, okay? So adjacent angles share a common side. Now, the thing that's interesting about adjacent angles is that they don't hold any specific degree value. They just share a common side. So since they share this side right here, we can call them adjacent angles because this side is what they have in common. Okay, so we would say it was 52 degrees plus this whole distance from here to here is actually 90 degrees. We know that because this says 90, this says 180. So to get from there to there, to get from 90 to 180, you have to add 90. So we know that this angle from here to here is 90. we know that this angle from here to here is 52, and so those two angles are adjacent angles because they share the common side. Okay? So that's another one that you have to know. The next one that I want you to recognize, because we've been talking about it quite a bit, is vertical angles. And we could say that this angle right here, I'm going to color it in down here so you can see it, this angle right here and this angle right here are known as vertical angles. And the reason that we call them vertical angles is because they're across from each other. So this angle and this angle are vertical. This angle and all three of these angles are vertical because they're across from each other. Okay? So vertical angles, okay, equal each other. And so we can write vertical angles are the same size as long as they're opposite of each other. So these two vertical angles happen to be 90 degrees. So we know this is 90 degrees over here. Okay? So that's kind of interesting to remember. So vertical angles are opposite of each other. Adjacent angles share a common side, and complementary angles all add up to 90. Okay? All right, so then the next one that I want you to take a look at is if I was to draw a line, let's say here, okay, and I'm going to tell you that from here to here, we're going to go ahead and say is 55 degrees, okay, and then we're going to say from here to here is 125 degrees, okay, so if you take those two angles and you add them up, you will know that they are supplementary angles, okay? So from here to here are supplementary angles, and the reason that they are called supplementary angles is because the angles, okay, add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so if we take 55 plus 125, then we should get 180. And let's check and see. 5 plus 5 is 10. Regroup the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and 1 plus nothing is 1. And so we are correct. They add up to 180 degrees. So the purple angles on the unit circle represent supplementary angles. Okay? So complementary add up to 90. Adjacent angles share a common side. Let's go ahead and color that in with red so that you don't forget. Adjacent angles share a common side, right? Okay, that's the side they share. All right. Vertical angles are across from each other in any direction, and then supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. Okay? So it's really important that you start remembering all of these types of angles, because when you are going to have to solve equations for them, you're going to have to remember what they are so that you can write your equations. For example, like this. So we have two practice problems, and they say x plus 37 equals 90 and 112 plus x equals 180. So what I would recommend that you do in order to be successful with these is use your BU chart like we've already been using. All right, so we're going to build it. What is our variable? Our variable is x. What did we do to x? We added 37. So remember, when we're doing the undo side, you work backwards, right? So to undo it, we're going to subtract 37 from both sides, and we should be left with x. So I'm going to subtract 37 from both sides, like it just says. 37 minus 37 is 0. X plus 0 is x. And then 90 to minus 37, so I'm going to regroup. This becomes a 10. That is a 3. That is a 5. And so now I know that x equals 53 degrees. And if you take 53 plus 37, it should add up to 90 degrees. And you have now solved the value for x. So I would like you to do the next one by yourself using your BU chart again. I would like you to figure out what x is. And this is what we're doing in this lesson, okay? So let's go back to our goal for today. Our goal for today is, today we are going to solve for missing angles using complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles. And then the question that you were supposed to answer during the lesson was, how can you remember the different angle relationships and what they mean? The answer to that question is you're just going to have to memorize them. That's why I'm trying to show you all these different things on the unit circle so that it can help you remember. But it really is just about memorizing those vocab words and remembering them. All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to solve this problem using a BU chart. And I'll give you a hint. Supplementary angles might be helpful in understanding that one. All right, kiddos, that's all I have for you today. Talk to you soon. Bye.